Chapter 38. Shocked to hear about the JieDan. Thinking through all this, Kang Chon had already guessed who the thieves ambushed in the royal residence at this moment were, and with a show of his figure, he sprinted towards the entrance of the royal residence. Kang Chon still knows the truth that a good man should not be forced to do anything beforehand, coupled with the fact that he is worried about the safety of Grandpa and his family. So the 36th plan, the best plan. This action of Kang Chon's caused those Lin family experts who were observing him from the shadows to be stunned. But they weren't idiots. They immediately knew that they had been discovered and immediately stopped hiding and killed out. Kill. Only a dozen silhouettes jumped out from behind several fake mountains, each holding a long sword and slashing towards Kang Chon. Not far from the houses, a figure broke out and raised his sword to kill. Kang Chon's face sank. The lowest strength of these people was at the 3rd level of the foundation establishment stage. Among them, there were quite a few at the 5th or 6th level of the foundation establishment stage, clearly the elite of the Lin family. What a Lin family! This is the entire family out. It seems that Grandpa's side must also be ambushed by Lin family experts. Fortunately, I had reminded Grandpa earlier. I should be able to support him for a while. Kang Chon let out a cold snort in his heart as he raised his fist and blasted away. A figure was sent flying by him. This time, he was facing an enemy. Kang Chon no longer had the slightest mercy. Those who were hit by him, one by one, they either spat out blood or had their shins crushed. Their lives would not last long. This scene scared quite a few Lin family experts, who retreated, not daring to die charging. All of you are losers. A little brat scares you. It's really a waste of the name of our Lin family's elites. An old voice came out, followed by a stout old man walking not far away. Peak of the 7th level of foundation establishment. Kang Chon squinted his eyes as he looked over, and the Dan Emperor's voice came from his mind. This old man's cultivation was unexpectedly at the peak of the 7th level of foundation establishment. This was a strong person. It must be one of the elders of the Lin family. Between thoughts, the old man walked as fast as he could, but in a few moments, he appeared in front of Kang Chon, bringing with him a powerful aura of oppression. To have such strength at such a young age, it seems that you are that genius Kang Chon of the Wong clan. The old man had his hands behind his back, his eyes looking at Kang Chon grimly. Who are you? Kang Chon said coldly. I am the 7th elder of the Lin family. Brat, if you are sensible, quickly kneel down and I might consider sparing your life, the old man said with an arrogant face. 7th elder. A trace of purple light surfaced in Kang Chon's eyes. The man in front of him reminded him of the Li family's 7th elder, and instantly, a wave of anger surged through his heart. It seems like the heavens are going to let you die by my hands. Kang Chon's icy cold eyes, transmitting infinite killing intent. He did not speak nonsense and raised his fist to blast. The old man didn't want Kang Chon to fight when he said he would, although he was a bit rushed. But he was an expert after all. He was still calm and collected, raising his fist to kill in the same way. HMPH. Watching the old man actually fight hard with himself, Kang Chon snorted coldly. The corner of his mouth pulled out a cruel smile, and he drank in a low voice, Overlord Fist. Instantly, a terrifying fist intent erupted. The majestic might shocked the old man on the opposite side. However, it was already too late for him to dodge. Boom! A thick true chi surged out along Kang Chon's arm before exploding from his fist, and instantly, a blinding white light appeared, illuminating the entire space. Accompanied by a loud bang, the old man retreated in response to the sound as he spurted blood from his mouth. Looking at Kang Chon with a face full of incredulity, a look in his eyes as if he had seen a ghost. How is it possible? How could you be so strong? The old man was shocked to realize that he couldn't even withstand a single glance. Was the youth in front of him already terrifying to such an extent? Go to hell and ask the god of death. Kang Chon sneered and raised his fist to kill. Terrified, the old man shouted towards the surroundings, "You bunch of losers, don't make a move yet. You won't be able to live well if the old man dies." I don't know if the old man's threat worked, or Kang Chon's strength shocked people. All of them surrounded together and killed. Everywhere there were swords, and true chi surged. Kang Chon raised his voice to the sky, and his true chi erupted, ravaging the entire space. At once, boundless killing intent filled the air. In the corridor of the royal mansion's backyard, Kang Chon bathed in blood and killed his way to the gate. The Lin family had deployed hundreds of elite experts this time, each with a minimum strength of the 3rd level of the Foundation Establishment stage. And when they joined forces, even the 8th level of the Foundation Establishment stage powerhouses would find it difficult to resist. However, Kang Chon killed his way out step by step, and even though he was covered in blood, it was all the blood of his enemies. This blood flowed down his clothes, making his entire person look hideous and terrifying. Lin family, in the coming day, I, Kang Chon, will definitely destroy your entire family. Kang Chon's icy cold words rang out. He was like a killing god coming out of hell. Each punch carried a life. Blood and flesh flew everywhere as his true chi erupted. Everywhere was a hellish sure scene. The crowd of Lin family children who surrounded him were so scared that they retreated. The youth in front of them became the embodiment of the god of death in their hearts, unstoppable. That 7th elder of the Lin family, who was at the peak of the 7th level of the Foundation Establishment stage, was also shocked and looked at all of this unbelievably. The so-called sea of men tactic seemed so pale and powerless in front of Kang Chon. All of the Lin family's children who had surrounded Kang Chon trembled as they backed away, all of them showing fear in their eyes, their hands shaking as they gripped their swords and knives. "Quickly, quickly go," the 7th elder of the Lin family shouted angrily as he looked at the retreating group of Lin family children. But his efforts were pale. Not a single person dared to rush up again. In Kang Chon's hands, they couldn't even resist a single punch. This absolute disparity terrified them. They were completely killed by Kang Chon. "It's your turn." Kang Chon's icy cold eyes, came. His dark eyes flashed with 2 purple lightning, like the stars in the sky, bright and gorgeous. The 7th elder of the Lin family's eyes instantly shrank, his face filled with fear. Kang Chon raised his fist to kill. The terrifying overlord fist mercilessly engulfed him. The vast power lifted all the surrounding Lin family children out, and between the surges of true chi, it stirred up shocking waves of air. The 7th elder cried out miserably in grief as he flew out backwards covered in blood. However, he was, after all, a peak 7th level Foundation stage powerhouse. And even though he was not Kang Chon's opponent, it was impossible for Kang Chon to exterminate him with a single punch. However, looking at this terrifying youth in front of him, there was no longer a trace of fighting spirit in the 7th elder's heart as he climbed up and scurried outside. Those children of the Lin family did not think that the whole elder would leave them alone to escape. They could not help but curse in their hearts, but cursing was cursing. They were not idiots. Knowing that killing Kang Chon was already impossible, they followed suit and fled in all directions. Escape. Can you escape? Looking at the Lin family disciples fleeing in all directions, Kang Chon let out a cold smile. He might not be able to stop all of these Lin family elite disciples, but that 7th elder he was definitely going to kill. After all, not counting the fact that the other party was an important figure of the Lin family. Just the name of the 7th elder alone had already aroused the killing intent in Kang Chon's heart. This brat has unexpectedly become so strong, it seems that we have to inform the patriarch earlier to settle him, or else he will definitely be a scourge in the future. The 7th elder of the Lin family sighed in his heart as he fled outwards. Right at this moment, an extremely dangerous aura came from behind him. He was startled in his heart and hurriedly looked back, his eyes instantly shrunk, his face full of despair, only to see, in the sky, A huge palm covered the sky. Although it had not yet approached, the terrifying pressure had already caused him to despair. This was the heaven escaping hand, and immediately following it came the indifferent Kangchon. "Old man, leave your life behind." Kangchon's icy cold eyes flashed with a touch of mockery, and immediately after, in the midst of the seventh elder's despairing gaze, the heaven escaping hand descended violently, carrying a titanic aura that engulfed the seventh elder. Rumbling, with a loud sound, the entire earth trembled. When the dust around them was blown away, a huge palm print was revealed, and in the middle of this huge palm print, there was a puddle of blood and flesh that appeared extremely hideous. The seventh elder is dead. To terrifying, the seventh elder is no match. I'm afraid that only the clan chief can deal with him. One by one, the fleeing Lin family children saw this scene and became even more fearful in their hearts as they sped up to escape from this sure hell that made him tremble. For these ordinary Lin family children, Kangchon didn't waste any time in chasing after them. After he resolved that seventh elder, he ran towards the gates of the royal mansion. He had to go and inform his grandfather about the conspiracy of the Lin family and the third elder. However, just when he was about to reach the gates of the royal residence, Kangchon's entire body suddenly stopped. His eyes stared, his icy cold eyes shooting towards the gate, a touch of gravity surfacing on his face. Outside the gate of the royal mansion, a heavy footsteps came, and immediately after, a tall figure appeared in Kangchon's line of sight. "Nephew Kangchon, where are you going? Could it be that my Lin family has failed to provide any hospitality? I hope that my virtuous nephew will atone for his sins." A soft laugh came from the tall figure that finally revealed its appearance. And after seeing the figure's appearance clearly, Kangchon's eyes shrunk slightly, and he said icily, word by word, "Lin Wei." Kangchon had seen correctly. The person who came was none other than Lin Wei, the next heir of the Lin family's family head. That is, Lin Baishan's son, a strong person at the late 8th level of the foundation establishment stage. Xion nephew should call uncle. Speaking of which, your mother was also the object of uncle's admiration back then. A pity. Lin Wei smiled and sighed softly. "What have you done with our Wong family's children?" Kangchon asked in a cold voice. He didn't care about the safety of the Wong family's children. He cared about Auntie King, the Auntie King who was like his own mother. "They are all guests in my Lin family. Virtuous nephew go along too," Lin Wei said with a smile, a light and airy look on his face. Kangchon narrowed his eyes. His mind couldn't help but think of the scene he had seen at the back of the mountain half a year ago, and then associating it with the mid-grade spirit stone the third elder had taken out. The intrigue of it all became apparent. "Good Lin family, you guys have been preparing this plot for half a year, right?" Kangchon said coldly. "However, with this alone, do you think you can destroy my Wong family? As long as my grandfather is still around, our Wong family will still exist. Xion nephew is really smart, but I'm afraid that your grandfather has already gone to our Wong family as a guest." Lin Wei laughed lightly. Only a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes, as if wondering how Kangchon knew the timing of their Lin family's plans. "This kind of words to deceive a child also come to deceive me. Do you really think I'm a 3-year-old? My grandpa has known for a long time that the third elder has a plot. You guys are doomed to disappointment this time." Kangchon laughed coldly. His grandfather's strength was still clear to him. Even if he couldn't defeat Lin Baishan, there was still hope of escaping. "Oh, to think that you guys knew about it. That third elder of your family is really a waste." Lin Wei didn't have the slightest surprise when he heard this and said with a face full of disdain, "Unfortunately, in front of absolute strength, even if you guys are smart, it's useless." "Is that so? What kind of big family do you think your Lin family is? How dare you talk about absolute strength? Does your Lin family have any JieDan stage powerhouses?" Kangchon sniffed mockingly. "What your nephew said is very true. My father just broke through the JieDan stage a month ago, although his realm is not yet stable. But I think it's still possible to deal with your grandpa." Lin Wei smiled faintly, his face full of confidence. "What?" Lin Beishan broke through the JieDan stage. Kang Qian's eyes shrunk and his heart jumped. If that was the case, then his grandpa would really be in danger this time. After all, the JieDan stage could sweep through Heavy Iron City,